Doctor Who. 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 It's a British science fiction TV series that premiered in 1963, and for the last 50 years it has managed to stay on the air for more than half of that time in one way or another. Since 2013 happened to be the 50th anniversary of that show, that was celebrated not just with a TV special and a docudrama, but also with the passing of the torch of the latest Doctor to the next Doctor, Matt Smith letting Peter Capaldi taking over the role. And yes, I realize it's been really damn long since those things originally aired, but the way I see it is just an even bigger reason for me to take the time to discuss that. See what I did there? Time. First of all, let's talk about me and Doctor Who. I am relatively new to this Doctor Who business. I don't think I even would be watching the show if it wasn't for several of the producers at thatguywiththeglasses.com, since many of them are Doctor Who fans since a very long time and either briefly mention the show in their reviews or even make reviews about the show, both the new version and the classic episodes. As a matter of fact, I have one DVD with a serial of each classic Doctor at the moment. The Time Meddler, The Invasion, The Demons, Genesis of the Daleks, The Visitation, Attack of the Cybermen, and my personal favorite of all of these, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. So I don't know all that much about Doctor Who still, except for what I've read at tardis.wikia.com and what I've been hearing from the Tig with Tig people, of course. However, though, I must say that I am a really big fan, and I have been a bigger fan for the longer I have been watching this. I mean, I started out with the first season of the new series, Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor. Then I was catching up with David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, and Matt Smith, the 11th, in just a couple of years. And then, of course, came 2013, 50th anniversary. And first of all, let's talk about the docudrama, An Adventure in Space and Time, where we got to see how Doctor Who was conceived, how William Hartnell got to play the Doctor, and then had to leave the role and pass it over to Patrick Troughton. Now, I am quite fascinated with biopics or docudramas when they bring up famous people, like in Hollywoodland and Life and Death of Peter Sellers. Now, those are some very dark and depressing ones, showing their tragic lives and deaths. And, well, that's not to say that there's nothing sad about An Adventure in Time and Space. There is a lot of sadness, but there are some bright moments. It's very bittersweet seeing how, William Hartnell was a kind of a grumpy man who often accidentally rubbed people the wrong way, but he often felt very bad about it. And he was evidently very proud of playing the first Doctor, and it was a very emotionally tolling thing to him to then pass it over. Nice moments when they invent everything piece by piece, often sort of going along the way with what they are doing. We see how Verity Lambert fights for a lot of the creative decisions like the Daleks, and how the show nearly got cancelled, which would have been a big tragedy. if the show had lasted in such a short time and not become the great cult phenomenon it is. Sorry. And I think one of my favorite scenes is when Verity Lambert is on a bus on her way to work, and all of these kids are stepping aboard the bus and yelling, "Exterminate! Exterminate! Exterminate!" like the Daleks. So an adventure in space and time is a very respectful way of showing how Doctor Who came to be in its very early days. And it's also giving us a slight peek at the future when William Hartnell suddenly sees the 11th Doctor in the TARDIS when he's doing his last episode. So it's like he stopped worrying about what was going to happen without him, you know. He simply accepted that, okay, I'm not going to be the Doctor anymore, but the Doctor is still going to be there for a lot of children and a lot of fans. Onto the mini episode, The Night of the Doctor, and I thought it was really great that Paul McGann got a chance to play the 8th Doctor one last time in live action. I mean, he has done him in these big Finnish audio dramas. The mini episode, of course, is when he gives up being the Doctor in Manners of Speaking by becoming a warrior instead to enter the Time War. He becomes the War Doctor then, which is sort of like the 8.5th Doctor between the 8th and the 9th. A lot of people complained about that they had him instead of the 9th Doctor in the Day of the Doctor, but I thought it was a really great way to create a bridge between at least the TV movie and the new series, not so much the classic series. The Day of the Doctor was a really fun experience, simply because I really looked forward to see the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor, because in a lot of ways they are very different from each other. The 10th Doctor is, well, kind of, well, vain. He's sort of like, hey, look at me, and the 11th Doctor is more like, hey, look at you. He really cares about people. He shows a lot of interest in individuals that he's never met before. I mean, that's not to say that the 10th Doctor doesn't care about other people, but yeah, he's very much about him. Not all about him, but he has kind of an ego, if I put it that way. Something that I didn't realize at full at first was exactly how much many of the fans care about the show. I mean, they really get invested. Like, I have been watching these reaction videos on YouTube with that big scene when we get all of the Doctors at once, and they just lose it. They like scream like they are at a Backstreet Boys concert or One Direction, I guess, whatever. And it doesn't even matter to them that it's just stock footage cut together, because what you really see is all of the Doctors, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Calling the War Council of Gallifrey, this is the Doctor, standing ready, commencing calculations, and for my next trick. And of course, the cherry on top of that sundae, all 12 of them. No sir, all 13. Ka-chunk! It's really, really awesome and entertaining to see the fans' reactions in those YouTube videos, but I kind of feel sorry for their neighbors. Is the building on fire or something? Oh no, that's right. A new Doctor Who episode. Yeah. And you know, it's that excitement, that happiness, that sense of wonder and the big surprises that I think are a very important part of Doctor Who and its fandom. That they really get something that blows them away. Yeah, it was mostly about the new series. It wasn't that much about the classic series. So it didn't exactly celebrate all of the 50 years, but I think they, in spite of that, made a great episode. as a standalone Doctor Who episode, it's pretty fine. Maybe a little underwhelming as the 50th anniversary. But then again, think of the previous anniversaries, the 3 Doctors. William Hartnell couldn't be together with Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee because of health issues, so he was just on screen on a TV. And the 5th Doctors, William Hartnell had sadly passed away, so they had another actor playing the first Doctor. Tom Baker sadly couldn't show up, so they had some stock footage from an unfinished episode. Then when there were just TV clips of all the classic Doctors and the 9th Doctor saying, "And for my next trick," and that, I'm cool with it. It's all make-believe anyway. I mean, it's not like they built a blue box that is bigger on the inside. That's a special effect. But it's very entertaining, and that has kept people interested in the show. And then came the Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor, when Matt Smith said goodbye to being the 11th Doctor. So besides getting naked and Clara having to tell her family that he's Swedish, funny, he spends 300 years in a town called Christmas on the planet Trenzalore, where he knows that he is going to be buried when he is dead, protecting them from outside threats. And then, when it looks like he's been too old to live on and doesn't have any more regenerations, here comes this thing. Some call it the Deus Ex Machina. I think of it more as good karma, basically, because of all the good he's done in all of his lifetimes, but also because of he saved his whole home planet. I guess they kinda didn't want to stay frozen in time for that long, so they sent out a new bunch of regenerations, and boy does he regenerate, I mean, ugh. And of course it got very emotional. Amy Pond shows up. Breaking him out. Good night. The Doctor takes off his bow tie, his beloved bow tie, drops it to the floor, like a napkin from his lunch that he doesn't need anymore. Kidneys! I got new kidneys! I don't like the color. What are kidneys? So, poof. Goodbye, 11th Doctor. Hello, 12th Doctor. Let's see what you can do, besides complaining about the color of your kidneys and not being able to fly the TARDIS, it seems. And again, the YouTube reactions. A lot more emotional than with the all of the 13 Doctors saving Gallifrey. This time it's one Doctor saying goodbye, and yikes, Niagara Falls, man. Niagara Falls. And I feel kind of guilty about the way I was thinking the first time I saw that. I wasn't really sad about the 11th Doctor going. I just waited for freaking Peter Capaldi to show up. Like, stop talking, I want to see the 12th Doctor! Regenerate, damn you! Regenerate! And he came. And he'll be back this fall in 2014. And I really look forward to that. This is the first time that I have seen a Doctor regenerate at the time that it first aired. It really made me feel like I was a lot more of a part of the fandom. I mean, I don't hang out with that many people interested in sci-fi in general. I'm sure that Capaldi will be a great Doctor. I mean, I didn't really know much about him. I'm sure he'll do a great job. I hope he gets a lot more grumpy, that he'll make Clara, his companion, a little pissed off every now and then. I also have a feeling that the 12th Doctor will be very pedantic. I mean, come on, he didn't like the color of his kidneys. What does that say? I mean, he must be really aiming.